Hi everyone! Today we're going to be talking about Disney's Hercules. So a lot of people say this is one of Disney's more underrated movies. I don't know if I go that far because there's so much underrated from Disney, you have no idea. But at the same time, I still enjoy this one, and let's get into why. Now, Greek mythology is a risky material for an animated film, especially coming from Disney, especially this myth. Now, the original story is dark. You may want to skip ahead to a few minutes. No, I don't know the exact time since I'm just making this now, but anyway, if you aren't familiar with the original story, Zeus cheats on Hera with a mortal woman, so she tries to kill him with snakes. The baby, that is. She tries to kill Hercules with snakes, and then when he grows up, she makes him go mad and kill his wife and children. So, in order to be forgiven, he has to commit to 12 labors. Yeah, not very family friendly. A lot had to be changed certainly. But, how would they do it? One, they would turn Hera from the villain into a loving mother and have Hercules as a legitimate child instead of born out of wedlock. And Hades would be the villain. So then we would have a typical underdog becoming hero story, but at the same time, our hero is already physically strong. It's just mentally and emotionally strong that he needs to become over the course of the movie, as well as having Hades stay away from the action and observing more until the end and trying to get him through other monsters, which really does make him feel like a more threatening villain, and the fact that none of the heroes other than Meg really know what he's up to or realize that something much bigger is going on. And yeah, that makes for a great story, and it leads to Hercules being able to focus more on his emotional issues rather than having a standard villain to beat until the end of the movie when he's already overcome a lot of those obstacles. And the idea of wanting to be like everyone else instead of what makes you special is a real theme of this movie, and what makes a true hero. Very deep themes, and they're handled very well. And with the message, I would say that it really can relate to anyone, because either you can be strong like Hercules and seen as an outcast, or you can be weak and, little, and not really seen as much of a hero at all, but you can still make a difference, you can still be a hero, but what really matters is what's inside, and it's done well here. Sure, it's seen in a lot of movies and stories, but I think it's done well. And another thing that's nice is that this is a Disney movie, but it's sort of a parody of Disney movies in some ways. True Love at First Sight is mocked through a song. Well, not really mocked so much as questioned, and the cliches are brought up. We have a heroine that's definitely different from your standard Disney princess, and a more comedic tone than was typical of Disney films at the time. Really, the closest thing to it was Aladdin, but that's what makes it so interesting. It embraces its Disney origins with a great villain and songs and beautiful animation, but it still mocks certain aspects of Disney, not to the extent of Disney movies from today, really, but there's still the semblance of that there. Going on to the animation, Disney movies always really do look so beautiful, and this is certainly no exception. All the settings are fantastic to look at. Mount Olympus is probably one of the best of them. It definitely looks like a paradise, and the clouds around it, the fact that Zeus can make items out of clouds, the pedestals being made of clouds, and when Zeus gets from briefly turns back into clouds. Yeah, that's all cool. And all the other settings, like the underworld, is really dark and dreary. Even the water looks more like the souls that are in it, so the river Styx doesn't look like your typical river. It looks really depressing and the screaming souls, and this has some of the darkest Disney imagery outside of maybe the Black Cauldron or Hunchback. And yet it still has its comedic tone with some of the character designs, particularly some of the gods in Pain and Panic and Phil. But even the human characters like Hercules can have some nice, fluid, goofy movements. And the movie manages to have the comedic tone as well as some threatening moments for its animation very well, which makes it a very well rounded movie and, as always, another great Disney film to look at. Going on to the characters, Hercules is a character that's strong from the beginning physically, but he needs to become emotionally strong as well as gaining more strength through his training with Phil. And he really does grow a lot in this movie, showing how he wants to find his one place where he belongs and really fit in, be like everybody else, and then finding that his gifts and what they really mean and how he can't be happy as a god without Meg, and he can do amazing things with his powers, but it's his heart that makes him the real hero. So he's definitely a great character and one of the stronger male Disney leads, I would say. No pun intended. Going on to Meg, as I said, that Meg is the anti-Disney princess very much. She doesn't want to fall in love. She is working with the villain, albeit reluctantly in the beginning. She has a tragic backstory. She has layers. She's sarcastic and has a great sense of humor. She isn't a villain, but she's an antagonist of sorts because of a source of conflict until becoming the love interest. But she's so much more layered. She isn't a villain at all, really. She isn't evil. I would say at her worst she was neutral at most, but I would definitely consider one of the heroines, and that's one great thing about this movie. People aren't just going in for applications to your local Hades or Maleficent saying, my hobbies include kicking children and throwing puppies down wells. No. Sometimes people are stuck in a bad situation working for people that they shouldn't because they have no other choice. They go down a wrong path, and they definitely show that here. And the fact that she had the best intentions and that she did this all for someone else makes it all the more heartbreaking. So she is one of the best characters in the movie. Phil is another great character. He presides a lot of the laughs in the movie as far as the comedic good guys go. And he has dreams too, but is cynical, similarly to how Meg is. If Meg is a cynical version of the love at first sight, Phil is a cynic and the ideas of dreams coming true. So he really fits in this movie too. And while he is that way, he's that way because of a reason and many disappointments. But he also is very caring to Hercules and provides him some pretty good advice at times, saying that there's nothing he can't do. So, great character. Then there's Pegasus. Disney horses always seem to be some of their funniest characters, especially the mute ones. I mean, sure, a lot of Disney animals are great, but for some reason, their horses are always so funny, and Pegasus definitely is that way. He's devoted to Hercules, jealous of Meg, has some bird-like tendencies because of the flying bits in him, eating bird seed, and taking great advantage of being called Bird Brain. So, definitely a funny character. Zeus is a great father to Hercules, and it's a shame that they spend so little time together. And it's really heartwarming to see how much he cares for his son, and he is just a great Disney dad. Definitely one of the higher ups for that. And now on to some of the best characters. Hades, our villain. And he is just so funny. A lot of times, Disney villains can have a bit of sassy comedy to them, but they're threatening first. Hades has incredible power. He's a god, immortal, presides over the land of the dead, has a million monsters at his disposal. He's still hilarious. And he's considered one of the funniest villains, really. Too funny to be considered scary, which is interesting because of his position. And I read that he was actually supposed to be a serious villain until James Woods was going to be the one to voice him. So there is that. And I love how he talks like a salesman, and he can go from cool to furious in a matter of seconds. And how his hair glows orange for that period of time when he's really angry. So another great Disney villain. Pain and Panic are some great henchmen, and I love how they can shapeshift. If they were more serious villains and working for a more dangerous and one of the crueler ones that isn't really so comedic, and this wasn't a primarily funny movie, oh boy, these two have the makings of a really dangerous villain. They can turn into anything, and they can lure you into thinking they're innocent and helpless only to attack later, as they do to Hercules and Pegasus at various points of the movie. So definitely some minions that, while funny, you still gotta watch out for. The Fates are also really creepy, and some of the more interesting minions. Well, not really minions. They don't really work for Hades. They're in and of themselves, but they have a certain dark feel to them, but they also can be pretty comedic, like indoor plumbing is going to be big. Like a lot of things in this movie, so they fit perfectly and they work for great allies to Hades for that one scene and then coming back later. So, on to the songs for the movie. All these songs are great. The Muses songs have a certain gospel feel to them and they're just so catchy. The Gospel Truth is a nice opening number that delivers the backstory in a way that would be easy to understand so it wouldn't be lagging. And it just has a really catchy beat to it. And then along came Zeus, he hurled his thunderbolt. Yeah, so catchy. And once these songs get in your head, and then there's Zero to Hero, which, similarly to Gospel of Truth, does move the story along well and has a nice montage of Hercules kicking some butt and is just so catchy. That's the best song for all these songs. A Star is Born is the end song for the Muses, and I love how those songs really move it along the story and take out some backstory there. Then we have the three songs that are sung by the main characters of the movie. We have Go the Distance, Hercules, the song to find where he belongs, and this scene is just so powerful and the song is just so beautiful. Finding Hercules' desire to find where he belongs and going down the path until he comes across the statue of Zeus. Very powerful moment from Disney. Then there's One Last Hope, probably the weakest song in the movie. It's not bad, really. It's kind of catchy. And yeah, I would find myself humming it from time to time. It just pales in comparison to the others, but it still shows who Phil is and it fits his character well. And then there's my favorite song, I Won't Say I'm in Love. I've sung this so many times when I don't want to admit to a crush, and it's just such a pretty song, and you can really identify with Meg throughout the whole song. Now, Hercules is a very different type of Disney movie. It has a comedic tone even at its most serious moments and action-packed parts. Excuse me. And it has a certain element of atypical Disney to it, going against a lot of the tropes that Disney is most known for in honest ways, and has some great characters and songs. I'm sure you've already seen it many times, but why not watch it once more? And as always, if you have any film you want me to suggest, please comment what it is in the section below, and I'll see you next time. Until then, see you later.